My heart pounded so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. The grand hall of the royal palace glittered with chandeliers, but all I could see were eyes. Hundreds of them, all fixed on me. I clutched my cleaning cloth tighter, the rough fabric grounding me as I knelt on the cold marble floor. "I asked you a question, mute boy." Prince Kale's voice cut through the murmuring crowd like a blade. His alpha presence filled the room, making it hard to breathe. His silver eyes, identical to his twins, stared down at me without mercy. "Did you steal my mother's sapphire necklace?" I shook my head frantically. My hands moved, signing the words I could not speak. "No, I would never steal. I am innocent. What is he doing with his hands?" A noblewoman scoffed from the crowd. "Some kind of witchcraft." Tears burned my eyes. I had been a servant in the palace for 3 years. I cleaned. I stayed silent. I made myself invisible. And still, they found a way to destroy me. I found it in his sleeping quarters. The head housekeeper stepped forward, holding the glittering sapphire necklace high for all to see. Gasps echoed around me. "This mute orphan is a thief." I wanted to scream. I had never seen that necklace before in my life. My whole body trembled. A panic attack clawed at my throat, suffocating me. I looked up desperately, searching for a single kind face. That's when my gaze met Prince Aldrich's. Unlike his brother, Aldrich stood back, arms crossed over his chest. His silver eyes, usually warm like melted moonlight, were unreadable. He had always been kind to me before. He would leave small flowers on my cleaning cart. He would smile when no one was watching. My heart secretly ached for him every single night. But now he just watched in silence. "Take him to the dungeons," Prince Kale commanded. "Thieves lose their hands in this kingdom." My vision blurred with tears. My hands. Without them, I could never speak again. I would be truly, completely silent forever. Guard grabbed my arms roughly. I didn't fight. I couldn't. I just kept my eyes locked on Aldrich, silently begging him to save me. Just as the guards began to drag me away, Prince Aldrich finally stepped forward. His voice was quiet, but it silenced the entire hall. "Wait." My heart stopped beating. "The necklace was not stolen," Aldrich said, his silver eyes never leaving my face. "I placed it in his room myself." Shocked whispers exploded around us. Prince Kale's expression darkened with fury. "You did what?" Aldrich walked toward me slowly, each step deliberate. The guards released my arms. I collapsed onto the marble floor, gasping for air. Aldrich knelt before me, and for the first time, I saw something terrifying in his eyes. Obsession. I wanted a reason to claim him publicly, Aldrich announced, his voice steady and absolute. "And now I have one." Kale's growl rumbled through the hall. "You think I'll let you take him alone?" I felt his fear from across the room. It was intoxicating. I looked between the twin alpha princes, confusion and terror swirling inside me. Aldrich smiled softly, reaching out to brush a tear from my cheek. "Little mute," he whispered so only I could hear, "you belong to us now." My heart beat wildly. My lungs refused to work. What had just happened? What do they mean by us? Kale approached from behind, his massive shadow swallowing me whole. "We've decided, brother and I, we're not sending him to the dungeons." He leaned down, his hot breath tickling my ear. "We're claiming him as our mate. Both of us." I couldn't breathe. I couldn't think. The words "both of us" echoed in my skull like a death sentence. "Brother, you're scaring him," Aldrich murmured, gently pulling me to my feet. His touch was surprisingly soft, contradicting the possessive fire in his gaze. "Look, his whole body trembles." "He should be scared," Kale snapped, though his silver eyes softened slightly as they scanned my tear-streaked face. "He's been accused of theft. Now 2 alphas want to claim him. It's a lot for one morning." The noble crowd had gone completely silent. The head housekeeper stood frozen, still holding the planted necklace. I could feel their judgment, their disgust. An orphan, a mute, and now the center of scandal involving both crown princes. I finally found the courage to move my hands. "Why? Why are you doing this to me?" Aldrich watched my fingers dance through the air. Over the years, he had learned some of my signs. His expression flickered with something I couldn't name. "Why?" "Because I couldn't stand watching you fade into the background anymore. You clean our halls like a ghost. You never complain. You never ask for anything. His voice cracked slightly. You were disappearing right in front of me, and I couldn't bear it. My heart stopped. He had noticed me. All this time, he had truly noticed me. This is ridiculous, Kale growled, grabbing my wrist. His grip was firm, but not painful. We're not explaining ourselves to a crowd. We're leaving. Before I could protest, Kale swept me into his arms like I weighed nothing. Gasps erupted from the nobles. I thrashed instinctively, but his chest was solid muscle, unyielding. Aldrich walked beside us, his hand resting possessively on my knee. They carried me through towering hallways, past shocked servants, up spiraling staircases. I felt dizzy. The world spun. Only this morning, I had woken up in a tiny servant's cot, preparing for another invisible day. Now I was cradled in the arms of the most powerful alphas in the kingdom. Finally, they brought me to a massive bedroom. Silk sheets, golden candelabras, a bed large enough for 10 people. This was their private chamber. Kale dropped me onto the bed. I bounced slightly, scrambling backward until my back hit the headboard. My breath came in sharp gasps. Please, I signed desperately. Please don't hurt me. Aldrich's face crumbled. Hurt you? He sat on the edge of the bed, keeping distance between us. Little one, we would never hurt you. Never. Then what do you want from me? My hands flew frantically. I am nobody. I'm nothing. Kale slammed his fist against the wall, making me flinch. Don't say that. His roar filled the room, but his eyes glistened with something unexpected. Pain. You're not nobody. You're the only person in this cursed palace who doesn't want something from us. You're real. You're pure. I stared at him, stunned. The mighty Prince Kale, known for his coldness, was trembling. Aldrich reached for my hand slowly, giving me time to pull away. I didn't. Our fingers intertwined. Warmth spread through my entire body. We've watched you for years, he confessed quietly. At first, we just noticed you. Then we admired you. Then we couldn't stop thinking about you. He squeezed my hand gently. The necklace was stupid, desperate, but we needed an excuse to bring you into our world. You framed me. I signed, tears streaming down my cheeks. You humiliated me in front of everyone. We know. Aldrich bowed his head in shame. We're sorry. We'll spend the rest of our lives making it up to you, if you'll let us. Kale turned from the wall, his expression tortured. We're selfish. We're broken. But we're yours, if you'll have us. He dropped to his knees beside the bed, this terrifying alpha prince kneeling before a mute servant. Please, give us a chance. My heart shattered and rebuilt itself in the same breath. I looked at these two broken, powerful men, and I saw something I recognized. Loneliness, desperation, a hunger to be loved. I should say no. I should run. But my hands betrayed me, signing 3 words before my brain could stop them. I'll try, okay? 3 days passed in a blur of confusion and stolen glances. The twins kept me in their private chambers, insisting it was for my protection, while palace gossip spread like wildfire. Servants whispered about the mute thief who bewitched the alpha princes. I heard them through the walls, and each word stabbed deeper. But inside the chamber, something strange was happening. Something terrifying and wonderful. Aldrich brought me breakfast every morning. Fresh bread, honey, fruits cut into perfect slices. He would sit across from me, not eating, just watching with those soft silver eyes. You're beautiful when you eat, he said on the second day. I nearly choked on a strawberry. Kale was different. He didn't bring gifts or whisper sweet words. Instead, he brought silence. He would sit in the corner of the room, reading documents, occasionally glancing up to check on me. His presence should have frightened me. But somehow, his steady watchfulness made me feel safe. On the 3rd night, I finally gathered the courage to ask, why do you both want me? Alphas usually choose strong, powerful omegas. Kale looked up from his papers, frowning. Who told you that nonsense? Everyone. Society. The law. Aldrich set down his teacup, his expression serious. Our parents wanted us to mate with noble omegas from neighboring kingdoms. Political alliances. Power. None of it meant anything. He moved to sit closer to me, his knee nearly touching mine. We don't want power. We want connection. Real connection. And you, Kale added gruffly, don't pretend. You don't flatter. You just exist, pure and honest. Do you know how rare that is? My eyes stung with fresh tears. No one had ever called me pure or honest. To most people, I was just broken. A defective Omega who couldn't even speak. I'm scared, I admitted through trembling fingers. I've been alone my whole life. I don't know how to be wanted. Aldrich caught my hand mid-sign, pressing my palm against his cheek. His skin was warm. Then let us teach you. Slowly. On your terms. My heart raced wildly. Kale moved from his corner, sitting on my other side. He didn't touch me, but his warmth radiated toward me like a campfire. We won't claim you until you're ready, he promised. We'll wait. Days, months, years. However long you need. But you're ours. Aldrich added softly, his lips brushing my knuckles. Whether you accept it yet or not. A knock shattered the tender moment. All three of us tensed as the door swung open to reveal the Queen Mother herself. Her cold gray eyes swept the room, landing on me with undisguised disgust. So, she said icily, the rumors are true. My sons have taken a mute thief into their bed. Kale shot to his feet, placing himself between me and his mother. He's not a thief, and we didn't take him. No. The Queen stepped closer, her elegant gown whispering against the floor. Then why has the entire palace seen him entering your chambers and never leaving? Her lip curled. You've ruined his reputation. If you don't formally claim him soon, he'll be labeled a concubine. Is that what you want for your precious little mute? My blood ran cold. Concubine, the lowest status an Omega could have. Disposable. Shameful. Aldrich stood too, his voice deadly calm. We will claim him publicly, Mother, at the mating ceremony next week. I gasped silently. Next week? The Queen's eyes widened. You cannot be serious. He's a servant. A nobody. He's ours, Kale growled. And if you speak against him again, you'll lose both your sons forever. Choose your next words carefully. The silence that followed was suffocating. Finally, the Queen turned on her heel and left, slamming the door behind her. The echo rang through the chamber long after she was gone. I sat frozen on the bed, my mind spinning. Public claiming. In 1 week. This was real. This was happening. Aldrich knelt before me, his eyes searching my face desperately. I know this is fast. I know it's terrifying. But my mother is right about one thing. We need to protect your honor. He took both my hands. Please tell me you'll go through with it. Please tell me you choose us. Kale knelt beside his brother, head bowed. For the first time, he looked vulnerable. Scared. We need you, he whispered. Please. I looked at the two alpha princes kneeling before me. Powerful heirs to the throne, reduced to begging by a mute orphan. My heart swelled until it hurt. With shaking hands, I signed my answer. Yes. The night before the mating ceremony, I couldn't sleep. Moonlight poured through the tall windows, painting silver patterns on the floor. Aldrich slept peacefully on one side of the massive bed, his breathing steady. Kale lay on my other side, one hand resting protectively near my pillow. They had insisted I sleep between them. To keep nightmares away, Aldrich had said. But the nightmares came anyway. In my dreams, I stood at the altar before the entire kingdom. The Queen's cold eyes watched as guards dragged me away. Mute thief, they chanted. Unworthy, unworthy, unworthy. I woke up gasping, tears streaming down my face. My silent sobs must have stirred something because warm arms immediately wrapped around me. Chill, little one. Aldrich's sleepy voice murmured against my hair. You're safe. It was just a dream. On my other side, Kale pressed closer. No one will hurt you. We won't allow it. I buried my face in Aldrich's chest, breathing in his scent of sandalwood and safety. Their combined warmth melted the ice around my heart. What if the kingdom rejects me? I signed against his skin. What if I'm not strong enough to be your mate? Kale gently turned my face toward him. His silver eyes glowed in the darkness. You are the strongest person I know. You survived years of silence, of invisibility, of cruelty. You didn't break. You didn't become bitter. He pressed his forehead against mine. You're stronger than any noble Omega. Never doubt that. Aldrich kissed the top of my head. Tomorrow, you become our Luna, our equal. Our heart. I cried harder, but this time from overwhelming love. How my life changed so drastically. A week ago, I was invisible. Now, two powerful alphas wrapped themselves around me like I was precious treasure. The next morning arrived too quickly. Servants I didn't know entered the chamber, preparing me for the ceremony. They bathed me in rose-scented water, dressed me in white silk robes embroidered with silver thread, and placed a crown of moonflowers on my head. I barely recognized my reflection. I looked beautiful. Aldrich and Kale waited for me at the door, both dressed in formal black and silver. Their eyes widened when they saw me. Beautiful, Aldrich breathed. Mine, Kale added gruffly, earning an elbow from his brother. Ours, Aldrich corrected with a smile. They each took one of my hands, and together we walked toward the great hall. My legs trembled with every step. The massive doors opened, revealing hundreds of nobles, the queen on her throne, and the high priest standing at the altar. The walk down the aisle felt endless. Whispers followed me. There he is, the mute one. Can you believe it? But I focused on the warm hands holding mine. Aldrich squeezed gently. Kale's thumb stroked my knuckles. They grounded me. We reached the altar. The high priest's expression was neutral, unreadable. We gathered today to witness the sacred mating ceremony of Prince Kale, Prince Aldrich, and... He paused, clearly struggling. The Omega, known as the Palace Mute. My face burned with humiliation. I had a name. My mother gave me a name before she died, but no one bothered to learn it. Aldrich stepped forward, his voice ringing through the silent hall. His name is Elian. I gasped. I had never told him, never signed it, never written it. How'd he know? Kale continued, his voice equally strong. We searched the servant records. We found his birth certificate. His mother named him Elian, which means light. He looked at me with fierce tenderness. Our light. Tears flooded my eyes. They had searched for my name. They had cared enough to find it. The high priest cleared his throat awkwardly. Very well. Elian, do you accept the bonding marks of these two alphas? I couldn't speak, so I nodded firmly. Yes. 1,000 times yes. Aldrich went first. He gently tilted my head to the left, exposing my neck. His fangs elongated, and I felt a brief, sharp pain as he bit down on the sensitive skin where my neck met my shoulder. But the pain faded quickly, replaced by an overwhelming rush of warmth, connection, and pure love. I felt his emotions flood through the bond. His devotion, his protectiveness, his desperate need for me. Then Kale took my right side. His bite was slightly rougher, more urgent. His emotions hit me like a tidal wave. Passion, loyalty, a fierce, burning love that took my breath away. When they pulled back, I was marked, bonded, claimed. The marks on my neck glowed silver for a moment before fading into beautiful scars that I would wear proudly forever. Suddenly, the great hall doors burst open. Guards rushed in, swords drawn. Your Highnesses, the captain shouted, the Eastern Kingdom has declared war. They march on the palace as we speak. Panic erupted. Nobles screamed. The queen rose from her throne, face pale. And all I could feel through the new mating bond was my alpha's fear. The great hall dissolved into chaos. Nobles fled, tripping over their fine gowns. Guards scrambled to secure the exits. And I stood frozen at the altar, still feeling the sting of the mating bites on my neck, my new bond buzzing with Kale and Aldrich's emotions. Fear, determination, and something else, a fierce protectiveness directed entirely at me. We need to get you somewhere safe, Kale growled, grabbing my arm. Now! I shook my head frantically, signing with desperate hands. No, I won't hide while you fight. Elian, please. Aldrich cupped my face, his silver eyes wild with worry. The Eastern Kingdom has been planning this attack for months. They want to overthrow the throne. If they capture you, he couldn't finish the sentence. The terror through her bond said enough. The queen descended from her throne, her face hard as stone. So this is the Omega you chose? A mute coward who freezes in crisis. Rage flared through me. Not mine, Kale's. The bond pulsed hot. Say one more word against him, mother, and I'll have you escorted to the dungeons myself. The queen's mouth snapped shut, shock written across her aristocratic features. But I barely noticed their exchange. Something strange was happening inside my mind. Through the mating bond, I could feel more than just emotions. I could sense information, battle strategies, troop movements. Kale was already planning defensive formations. Aldrich was calculating diplomatic solutions, possible messengers to allied kingdoms. And somehow I could see it all. You're planning to send troops to the Eastern Gate. I signed suddenly, staring at Kale. But that's what they expect. Their main force will attack from the underground tunnels beneath the kitchen. Silence fell. Kale and Aldrich stared at me, stunned. How could you possibly know that? Aldrich whispered. I didn't have an answer. I just knew. The knowledge flowed through the bond like it was my own. I think I'm accessing your strategic thoughts. The bond is transferring them to me. Kale's eyes widened with understanding. A true Omega gift. Some mates develop the ability to process and organize their alpha's instincts. He looked at me with new wonder. You're not just feeling our emotions. You're amplifying our strengths. Aldrich grabbed my hands. What else do you see? I closed my eyes, letting the flood of information wash over me. The underground tunnels are old and unstable. A small group could collapse them from within, cutting off the invasion force. Send 10 soldiers, not 50. They need to be fast, not numerous. That's brilliant, Kale breathed. If we collapse the tunnels, we trap their main force outside. The queen stepped forward, her expression unreadable. You would trust battle strategy to a mute servant? No, Kale said firmly. I trust my mate. Something shifted in the queen's eyes. For the first time, she looked at me not with disgust, but with curiosity. Assessment. The next hours were chaos. Aldrich insisted on staying with me, while Kale led the defense forces. Through the bond, I could track Kale's every move, his every fear, his every victory. When an enemy arrow sliced his arm, I felt the pain as sharply as he did. I gasped, clutching my own arm. Elian. Aldrich caught me as I stumbled. What's happening? Kale is hurt. His left arm. Tears streamed down my face. I can feel it. Aldrich's fear spiked through the bond. I need to go to him. No, stay with me. I grabbed his tunic, pulling him close. He's not dying. He's angry, not afraid. If you leave me alone, you'll split your focus. He needs you calm. Aldrich took a shaky breath, pressing his forehead against mine. You're right. You're right. A broken laugh escaped him. We claimed you thinking we would protect you. Instead, you're protecting us. That's what mates do. I signed against his chest. We protect each other. Dawn broke over the palace. The battle was over. Kale returned covered in dirt and blood, but alive. The Eastern Kingdom's forces had been crushed in the collapsed tunnels. Victory belonged to us. Kale walked straight to me, ignoring everyone else. He pulled me into his arms, burying his face in my hair. Your strategy saved hundreds of lives, he murmured. My brilliant, beautiful Omega. Aldrich wrapped around us both, completing our cocoon. The kingdom will know your worth now. Not as a servant, not as a mute, but as Elian, our Luna, our strategist, our heart. I cried into their chests, overwhelmed. For the first time in my life, I wasn't invisible. I wasn't useless. I was loved. But as we held each other, I felt something dark flickering at the edge of the bond. A whisper of danger. Something wasn't finished yet. And through the window, I saw the queen watching us with cold, calculating eyes. Victory celebrations filled the palace for 3 days. Nobles who had once sneered at me now bowed when I passed. Servants who had ignored me now whispered my name with respect. Elian the Luna. Elian the strategist. Elian who saved the kingdom. But the queen's eyes never stopped following me. Through the mating bond, I felt Kale and Aldrich's happiness radiating like sunshine. They were proud of me, protective of me, completely devoted. But beneath their joy, something dark lurked. A secret they were keeping. A worry they shared in hushed conversations when they thought I was asleep. On the third night, I finally confronted them. We sat in our private garden, surrounded by blooming night flowers that Aldrich had planted for me. The moonlight made everything silver and magical. But the tension between us was ugly and sharp. Tell me what you're hiding. I signed, my movements sharp with frustration. I can feel it through the bond. Don't lie to me. Kale and Aldrich exchanged guilty glances. Finally, Aldrich spoke. It's our mother. She's not accepting this. She's gathering allies in the noble council, Kale added grimly. She wants to annul our mating bond. The world tilted. Annulment. The separation of bonded mates. It was rarely done, only in cases of proven treachery or incompatibility. The process was brutal. It could leave all three of us permanently scarred, emotionally and spiritually. Why? My hands trembled so badly I could barely sign. We won the battle. I helped. What more does she want? She wants political power, Aldrich said bitterly. She always planned to mate us to foreign royals. You're a threat to her ambitions. Not just political, Kale growled, his anger surging hot through our bond. She's jealous. Our father never loved her. Their mating was arranged. Seeing us genuinely in love, it drives her mad. I wrap my arms around myself, suddenly cold despite the warm night. What do we do? Aldrich knelt before me, taking my hands. We fight. Tomorrow, the noble council will vote on our annulment. We need to convince them that our bond is true, strong, and beneficial to the kingdom. Ow! Kale ran a frustrated hand through his hair. The council doesn't care about love. They care about power and tradition. Our mother has convinced them that Elian is a liability. An idea sparked in my mind. It was risky, terrifying, but it might work. Let me speak to the council. Both alphas stared at me. Elian, Aldrich said gently, you can't speak. Not with my voice, with my truth. I pressed my hands over my heart. There's an ancient tradition, the testimony of silence. An Omega who cannot speak may present their case through written words and character witnesses. The council must listen. Kale's eyes widened. That law hasn't been used in 300 years. How do you know about it? I cleaned a royal library for 2 years. I read every book when no one was watching. A small smile tugged at my lips. I may be mute, but I'm not uneducated. Aldrich laughed, a sound mixed with disbelief and pride. You're incredible. Absolutely incredible. The next morning, we gathered in the council chamber. 15 noblemen and women sat in judgment. The queen stood at the head of the room, triumph gleaming in her cold eyes. She thought she had already won. Let the annulment proceedings begin, she announced. Wait. Kale stepped forward, his voice ringing with authority. My mate invokes the testimony of silence. Gasps erupted. The queen's face went pale. That right is ancient and invalid. The law still stands, Aldrich countered smoothly, holding up a dusty tome he had retrieved from the library. Article 7, Section 3. Any voiceless Omega has the right to self-representation before judgment. The council members murmured among themselves. Finally, the head counselor nodded. Let the testimony proceed. I walked to the center of the chamber, my heart pounding wildly. A scribe sat nearby with parchment and ink. Kale and Aldrich stood behind me, their support flowing through the bond like warm honey. With steady hands, I began to write. The quill scratched against the parchment as every eye watched. I wrote about my childhood, about my mother's death, about the years of invisibility in the palace, about the false accusation of theft, about the love that grew between me and the twins. I wrote about the battle, how our bond helped save lives, how we worked together as true mates should. Finally, I wrote my last line. I am not a political tool. I am not a servant. I am Elian, the light these two alphas found in darkness. I am their Luna, and I will fight for them until my last breath. The scribe read my words aloud. By the end, several council members had tears in their eyes. Then Prince Aldrich stepped forward. May I present a character witness? The head counselor nodded. Aldrich turned to the chamber doors. Bring him in. The doors opened, and my heart stopped. Walking into the chamber, chained and guarded, was the head housekeeper who had framed me for theft. Her eyes were red from crying. I confess, she wailed, falling to her knees. The queen paid me to plant the necklace. She wanted Elian executed or banished before the princes could claim him. Absolute chaos erupted. The queen screamed denials. Council members shouted. Guards moved to restrain her. But all I could see was Kale and Aldrich, both staring at me, with overwhelming love and relief. Kale whispered through our bond, his mental voice clear for the first time. "It's over, my love. We won." Aldrich's voice joined his. "You're ours forever now. No one can take you away." I collapsed into their arms, sobbing silently. The nightmare was finally over. 6 months later, I stood on the palace balcony, watching the sunset paint the sky in shades of gold and rose. So much had changed. The queen was exiled to a distant estate, her political power stripped. The head housekeeper confessed fully and was sentenced fairly. The kingdom finally knew the truth. But the most important change was here in my heart. Warm arms wrapped around my waist from behind. Aldrich's familiar scent enveloped me. "What are you thinking about, my love?" I leaned back against his chest, signing lazily with one hand. How different my life is. How grateful I am. Kale joined us on the balcony, pressing a kiss to my temple. "You're not the only one who's grateful." He turned me gently to face them both. "We were lost before you. Two broken alphas playing at being princes. You gave us purpose. You gave me a voice." I signed, tears pricking my eyes. "Even without words, you hear me. You've always heard me." Aldrich wiped away a tear that escaped down my cheek. "We're planning something. Something important." I tilted my head curiously. Kale took a deep breath. "We want to establish a sanctuary. A home for voiceless omegas, abandoned servants, anyone the kingdom has forgotten. We want them to have the same chance you had." My heart swelled until I thought it might burst. "A sanctuary? Truly?" "Truly," Aldrich confirmed, his silver eyes shining. "We'll call it Elian's Haven, because you are the light that led us out of darkness. Now we want to share that light with others." I couldn't stop the tears now. They flowed freely down my cheeks as I threw my arms around both my mates, pulling them as close as physically possible. Our bond hummed with shared joy, shared love, shared purpose. "I love you," I signed against their chests. "I love you both so much." "We love you too," they said together, their voices harmonizing perfectly. That night, we lay together in our massive bed, tangled in each other's arms. The silver mating marks on my neck caught the moonlight, permanent reminders of our bond. Kale traced them gently with his fingertip. "Does it ever feel like a dream to you?" he murmured. "Finding each other?" "Sometimes," Aldrich admitted from my other side. "But then I wake up, and he's still here. Still ours. I'm not going anywhere," I signed sleepily. "You're stuck with me forever." "Good," they both whispered. As I drifted towards sleep, wrapped in warmth and safety and love, I thought about how strange life was. I had entered this palace as an invisible orphan, a mute servant destined for nothing. Now I was a Luna, a strategist, a beloved mate. But more than that, I was seen. I was heard. I was loved not despite my silence, but because of everything I was. The next morning, we announced Elian's Haven to the kingdom. The crowd gathered in the main square, thousands of faces looking up at us. I stood between my alphas, their hands in mine. Kale addressed the people first. "For too long, our kingdom has ignored the voiceless, the powerless, the forgotten. No more." Aldrich continued. "From this day forward, Elian's Haven will provide shelter, education, and community for anyone who needs it. Abandoned omegas, orphans, servants seeking freedom." And they both looked at me. With trembling hands, I signed my message to the kingdom. Aldrich translated aloud, his voice carrying across the silent crowd. "I was once invisible. Now I am seen. I was once voiceless. Now I speak through love. Let my story be proof that no one is worthless. No one is beyond saving. Every person deserves to be loved." The crowd erupted into cheers. I saw servants crying, guards smiling, children waving at me with bright eyes. And in that moment, I realized something profound. My story wasn't just about being saved. It was about learning to save myself. Kale and Aldrich hadn't rescued me. They had given me the space to rescue myself, and I had done the same for them. That was love. Real, true, eternal love. Later that evening, we stood in the newly constructed main hall of Elian's Haven. The first residents had already arrived, a young Omega boy who couldn't hear, and an elderly servant woman who had been cast out by her employers. They looked at me with hope in their eyes. "Welcome home," I signed to them. "You're safe now. The boy's face crumpled with emotion. The old woman wept openly, and my own tears fell freely, tears of healing, of purpose, of love. Cale and Aldrich stood beside me, their pride and love washing through our bond. This was our legacy, not thrones or power or wealth, but love, spread as far as our hands could reach. That night, under the stars, I wrote in my personal journal, my last entry for a long time. My name is Elian. Once I was nobody, then I was accused, captured, and claimed. But in the end, I was not stolen. I was found, not by two alphas who wanted to own me, but by two souls who wanted to love me. And that has made all the difference. Thank you for watching the journey of Elian, Cale, and Aldrich. Their story of love, acceptance, and overcoming adversity represents what true connection means, being seen, heard, and valued for exactly who you are. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for more emotional BL romances. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Comment below, what was your favorite moment in Elian's journey? Was it the first confession, the dramatic trial, or the creation of Elian's haven? I read every comment and love hearing which moments resonated with you most. Share this story with someone who needs to hear that love always finds a way. Until next time, remember, you are seen, you are valued, and you are worthy of love.